Okay, well, good morning, eighth graders. I really miss you guys. I hope you're doing well as we go into the second day of learning back from Easter break. So we are on 10.8, and this lesson is about probability. Yay for probability. So the definition that you want to write down here for probability is the number of favorable, that means the things we want, outcomes, favorable outcomes divided by the number of possible outcomes. Okay? So that's pretty easy. That's what I'm going to put P equals. P standing for probability. Okay? So probability equals the number of favorable outcomes divided by the number of outcomes. Now we can write this as a fraction. So I want you to think for a second. Let me see if I can do it. If I draw a die, if this was actually a pair of dice, right? There are 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides on a dice, right? 1 through 6. So think about this. What's the probability of rolling the number 1? How many are favorable? Only one has a side of 1. How many are possible? Think about that. How many are possible on a dice? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the answer as a fraction is 1 over 6. Or if I use my calculator and type that in and I hit 1 divided by 6, I get 0.166. Okay, so you can leave it like that. In the homework, they want you to do both, okay? So you do it as a fraction right here, and then you do it as a decimal right here. Okay, now that's really easy, right? You just put, and then if I said, what's the probability of, let me clear this. So if I do dice again, and I said, what's the probability of rolling a 2 or a 3, right? How many possible outcomes are that? That's 2 out of the same dice, which is 6, and that is 0.33 or 1 over 3, okay? So if I say these two numbers out of 6 dice, 6 sides, right? Then you know that that is 2 out of 6. Okay, that's pretty easy. Now, let's make this a little harder. So if you need to go back and pause that, watch that part of the video, go for it. Here is where it gets a little more fun. We have a little spinner, and little spinners are fun because they tell us stuff about probability, okay? Now, you notice here that they are different colors, right? Here's a color, color, right? Lots of different colors, but they have different numbers. Okay, so you got to look at the numbers. That's the key part. So, if I said, what is the probability of landing on a 2? Okay, all I have to do is count up how many have 2s. 1, 2, 3. So that's on top. You see, that's what we call favorable. How many do we have? We have 3 out of something that are favorable, right? 1, 2, 3. So out of how many are possible? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's it as a fraction. And if I type that in my handy dandy calculator, I get 0.375. And that right there is my final answer. Okay, that's not very hard. You guys can definitely do that. You just count how many are favorable, right? How many are 2? And then you put it over how many are total, right? Total is the bottom, and this is what we want. Okay, so the top is what we want. The bottom is the total. And we just write it as a fraction. Okay, right here as a fraction, and then right here as a decimal. Not bad. You guys totally get that. Let me see if I can erase this without erasing my chart here. So then, oh, yay, save some. So then what if I ask this question? If I said, what is the probability, so they write it as P, that it's going to X, that's the spinner, that X is going to be less than 2. Okay, What's the probability that x is going to be less than 2? So now what I have to do is find over here in this chart, find the ones that are less than 2. Now, when it's less than, it does not include 2. So it only is going to include which one? Ones. 1, 2, 3. Do you see that there's only 3 that are less than 2? All these other ones, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, and 2 are all bigger. So we're not going to use that one. How many are there total? Well, there's still 8. So it's 3 out of 8. So it happened to be the same percentage. And same decimal and same fraction. Whoa. So there we go right there. 3/8 or 0.375. Now let's change it up and make it a little bit more interesting here. Let's erase this one and actually say this time we're going to do the probability that x is greater than 1. Okay, so it's not going to include 1, but it's greater than 1. Which ones are greater than 1? Well, this 2, this 3, this 2, this 2, and this 3. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 that are greater than 1. How many do we have total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Still 8, right? Still total. So now, how do I write that as a decimal? I do 5 divided by 8. And that is 0.625. 0.625. And that is my grand total. And not very hard, right? You guys can do this. I believe in you. You can do it if it was based on color, right? What if I have the next one here that said, what if P, don't do this. P, the probability that it is any shade of green, okay? Any shade of green. Well, I'm going to say this is I'm going to count that as a shade of green. I'm counting this as a shade of green. So how many is that? 1, 2. So I got 2 out of, and guess how many I still have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is 1 over 4, or that equals 0.25. And there's my answer. 1/4 or 0.25, any that are green, counting those two as green. Okay, the only harder part of this lesson comes from the same concept, except for now we're going to add them. Okay, so we're going to add 2 different possibilities. So what if it says right here, so when we have something, we have probability of 1, right? That's easy. We just count 1, 2, 3, and we have 3 over 8. Okay, we did that. We know how to do that. We're confident. Okay, if you need to pause that and watch it again, just go ahead and go back. You got it. Now, what if we say, what is the probability of something that has multiple things? Okay, we have something that is multiple. So what if we have something that looks like this? The probability that we are going to get a 2, that it's going to be a 2, or that it's going to be purple. Okay, now we have 2 things. Does everybody see that? We have a 2 and we have purple. So now all we do is we just add. So we do the same thing. We basically solve each one individually. So we do P of 2 plus P of purple. Okay, so we just do 2 problems and add them together. Okay, so what is the probability of 2? Well, that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, you should remember how to do that out of 8, right out of the total. Now, plus, what is the P of purple? How many are purple? Well, that's just this guy, just 1. So that's 1 over 8, right? There's still 1, 2, 3, 4, still 8 options. How do we add fractions? The bottom stays the same, so we still have 8 total. But what is 3 plus 1? That is 4, which reduces to 1/2. Okay, so that's 1/2 is our answer, but 1/2 is a decimal, 0.5. So it's both of those circled in red. So you see how we combine those? We did the first one, and that led to 3/8. We did the second one, and that led to 1/8. And so we just added them together, and we got 1/2. 4 out of 8, which is 1/2, which is 0.5. Okay, you guys can do that. I know that. It's not too bad, not too hard. Let's do one more like that, and then you will be good to go. So you just got to do the combinations however they want you to do them, and you will get all of these correct. Okay, let's see what went away. Okay, so what if I change this and I said the probability of 3 3, or the probability that it is blue. Okay, so probability of 3 or blue. I'm sorry, not 3 or blue. I wrote the wrong thing. 3 or yellow. My bad. 3 or yellow. Okay. Now, how many of them are 3? I go 1. There's 1 3. There's 2 3s, right? Because I have P of 3 first, which that is 2 out of, how many do we have? 8. Now, I come to P of yellow. What's the probability of getting a yellow one? Well, there's only one yellow one up here. So that's plus 1 out of 8, which equals, what is 2 8s plus 1 8? Well, that's 3 over 8. So that's my answer, is 3 out of 8, which then is a fraction. 3 out of 8 is 0.375. So I can leave it either way. In the book, they want both. Okay, they want you to leave it as both the the fraction and the decimal. Okay, so that's not too bad. I know you guys can do that. You guys are skilled enough. If you have any questions, please look at the book. It should explain it pretty clearly. So I'm not too worried about you guys doing that. So here is 10.8. We are on page 435. This is page 435. And we're going to do, what is this? 1 through 15 all. And then we're going to do 25 through 36 all. Okay? So it's a few more problems, but they're very straightforward. You just have to count and then divide. So if you have questions, please email me. Please let me know. There is our homework for Thursday. Okay, Mr. H is over and out.